In the city's dark underbelly, a boy makes a choice. He's selling his body, piece by painful piece. Even the hardened surgeon questions his sanity. But for his sick sister, no price is too high. With a grim nod, the deal is sealed in steel. Suddenly, a figure is seen falling through the night. The impact shatters the silence of the street. It's our boy, somehow alive but clearly in agony. He slips away, glad no one followed him from his appointment. Then, a golden light glows as his body begins to regenerate. The golden energy seals his wounds in mere moments. He clutches the cash, his goal finally within reach. But the story about his sister was a complete lie. He reveals the cold, hard truth of his situation. His name is Ye Lin, an orphan from another world. He's a stranger trying to survive in this new reality. A world overflowing with monsters and deadly dungeons. His secret is an insane power of regeneration. Guess you could say he's got spare parts. He sold his own body to afford a class change ritual, all to protect the only family he has ever known. And today, all his sacrifices will finally pay off. His arrival at the ritual site is met with whispers. He explains to his teacher he took out a loan for the fee, a gamble that could leave him in debt for the rest of his life. But Ms. Wang offers a moment of encouragement. He enters the grounds where hundreds await their fate. The ritual is overseen by the school's stern principal. Another student nervously steps forward, his future on the line. He places his hand on the glowing orb of destiny. His result, an A-rank poultry breeder. Guess someone has to raise the chickens. The principal offers some words of encouragement. Then the next candidate steps forward with an air of confidence. The crowd goes wild for the school's idol, Juge Nini. She receives a personal blessing from the principal himself. As her hand meets the orb, a pillar of fire erupts. The result is beyond belief. An SSS rank fire mage. A wave of shock and envy washes over the other students. A power so immense it's said to rival an entire army. She's immediately offered a specialized training plan. Guess some people get the VIP treatment. Finally, it's Ye Lin's turn to face his destiny. He watches the star student walk away, vowing to forge his own path. His entire future hangs in the balance of this one touch. All his pain and sacrifice has led to this single moment. He places his hand on the orb, sealing his fate. Suddenly, the sky is torn apart by a spectral dragon. The dragon's power descends, engulfing our boy completely. The crowd can only stare, wondering if they're seeing another legend born. The principal seems to have misplaced his jaw somewhere on the floor. The announcement rings out. Ye Lin is an SSS rank Forbidden Curse Master. But the full weight of that title suddenly hits him. The crowd's awe turns to mockery in an instant. Even the school's star, Juganini, looks on with cold pity. The insults become a storm in his mind, a cruel twist of fate. The principal confirms the grim truth with some questionable encouragement. Ye Lin plays the part of the tragic hero perfectly. His act earns him a special training plan alongside the school's elite. But behind the tears is a smirk they can't see. A short life means nothing to someone who can't die. As the sun sets on the academy, Ye Lin decides to head home, but a voice stops him in his tracks, calling his name. It's the school's star, Zhuge Nini, offering him a chance to team up. But Ye Lin politely turns her down, preferring to walk his path alone. She calls him a stubborn fool destined for an early grave and storms off. Shaking his head, Ye Lin dismisses the strange encounter and continues home. But his path is blocked by a group of local thugs. Annoyed by the unwanted attention, he tells them to get out of his way. They mock his new rank, offering him a job as a security guard if he begs. The taunts turn cruel as they bring up his dead orphanage family. Their words trigger something deep within him, a memory of pain and loss. A strange power awakens in his eyes as he prepares to unleash a curse. He roars in fury, a line they should never have crossed. The ground shatters as a wave of dark energy erupts. The bullies are thrown back, terrified by his power. Ye Lin calmly invites them to continue their lesson. They scramble away, screaming that he's lost his mind. He scoffs at their cowardice, unimpressed by their bravado. But the curse's backlash hits him, scorching him from the inside. Guess there are no free lunches. From a rooftop, Zhuganini watches with cold judgment. Shaking off the pain, Ye Lin finally arrives at his rundown home. He sets down his bag, the long and painful day finally over. Back home, Ye Lin studies the grim cost of his new powers. But the backlash from his regeneration finally catches up to him. The world fades as exhaustion takes over completely. Meanwhile, the bully runs crying to his powerful father for revenge. But his father is a pragmatist, weighing the risks of such a move. He teaches his son a valuable lesson. Money is the sharpest weapon. The next day, a new trial awaits Ye Lin at Qingcheng Academy. His arrival is met with whispers about his newfound power and reputation. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out his name. It's the same bully from yesterday offering him breakfast with a smile. Ye Lin eyes the milk, asking if this is a poisoning attempt. The bully claims yesterday's beatdown was a life-changing epiphany. He drops to his knees, asking to call Yelin Big Bro. Yelin wonders if he hit him too hard in the head. Seeing an opportunity, he agrees to teach him for a price. He demands $2 million for tuition, which the bully readily accepts. They arrive at a stadium where a portal to a secret realm has opened. A swirling vortex of cosmic energy awaits the new students. Yelin stands with his school's team ready for the trial. Officials from other schools grumble about Ching Cheng's 2 SSS ranks. Ching Cheng's principal smugly questions the other officials' silence. Annoyed, the rival officials make their excuses and quickly depart. The trial begins as students are whisked away into the secret realm. Zhuganini makes a final offer to team up, but Yelin refuses again. She scoffs at his arrogance, leaving him to face his fate alone. Yelin is launched into the trial, ready for whatever comes next. He lands in a dense forest, separated from the other students. He realizes the teleportation was random. So much for teamwork. His solitude is broken by a snarling beast on a fallen log. He sees not a threat, but the perfect test subject for his new powers. He unleashes a curse, obliterating the beast in a flash. But the reward is a measly 10 XP for nearly rupturing a kidney. Realizing this method is too slow, he decides to go big. He runs, gathering the attention of every monster in the area. Surrounded by beasts, Yelin remains completely unfazed. His eyes glow as he prepares to test a new forbidden curse. He unleashes the destructive surge, a terrifying wave of power. The resulting explosion vaporizes the entire horde instantly. The curse's power surges through him, doubling all his stats. Now supercharged, he carves a path through the trial's monsters. He cuts through the forest, a whirlwind of dark magic. Each step leaves a trail of vanquished beasts in his wake. But the curse's true cost is his own life force. Aging him rapidly, he decides to ignore the cost, pushing his body to its absolute limit. With the remaining monsters gathered, he prepares another sacrifice. He slams his hand down, activating a massive curse circle. The ground erupts in a pillar of world-ending fury. A bit dramatic for a school trial, no? The notifications flood in, a testament to the curse's sheer power. Elsewhere, Zhuganini levels up but senses a rival power surge. The immense energy fluctuation has definitely caught her attention. She senses a power that rivals her own, vowing to find its source. Meanwhile, Yelin is having a post-apocalypse barbecue. He feasts on Demon Pig, replenishing the energy his curses consumed. The meal pushes him to level 3, unlocking yet another forbidden curse. Elsewhere, Zhuganini follows the trail of destruction through the dark woods. She's stunned by the sheer scale of the devastation left behind. A faint glow catches her eye, a remnant of the hellfire he unleashed. His belly full, Yelin decides it's time to find another forest to vaporize. But a familiar voice from the shadows stops him in his tracks. It's Zhuganini, demanding to know what he's doing so deep in the trial zone. Yelin curses his luck, realizing he can't let her discover his secret. He plays it off, claiming he was just having a casual barbecue. He tries to brush her off, telling her to stop following him. But her strange logic leaves him completely baffled. She then asks if he's seen a powerful Hellfire user nearby. Seizing his chance, Yelin points her in the wrong direction. Frustrated, she stomps off in pursuit of the Phantom Mage. She blames Yelin for the delay, convinced he cost her a lead. Guess she's not a fan of being misled. But her instincts scream that something is terribly wrong. A hulking dragon-blood behemoth appears, ready to attack. The behemoth strikes without warning, sending Zhuganini flying. She realizes this is a level 8 monster, far beyond her current power. Her thoughts turn to Yelin, assuming the coward has already fled. With no other choice, she unleashes a desperate storm of fireballs. The spells explode harmlessly against the beast's thick hide. The monster is completely unfazed, its gaze fixed on its prey. It leaps into the air, preparing to crush her completely. But Zhuganini refuses to give up, vowing to fight to the very end. She summons a grimoire, unleashing an even greater torrent of flames. The magic forms a fiery shield, barely holding the monster at bay. Her eyes widen in disbelief as her magic begins to fail. The shield shatters, sending her flying back in a fiery blast. The behemoth stands victorious, its power completely overwhelming. Defeated, she laments her arrogance, facing a humiliating end. But just as hope fades, a colossal shadow rises from the earth. A spectral beast of pure hellfire lunges toward the monster. The curse slams into the behemoth, engulfing it completely. She can only watch as the level 8 beast is instantly vaporized. Talk about a kill steal. A figure wreathed in dark energy stands where the monster once was. Humbled, she thanks her mysterious savior and asks for his name. He offers a new name, a phantom born of dawn and night. Zhuganini is left flustered by the mysterious stranger. She's determined to repay the debt, asking for his school. Yelin dismisses her thanks, eager to make his escape. But she refuses to let her savior simply walk away. He warns her of the dangers ahead, telling her to retreat. His parting shot about her torn clothes hits its mark. She collapses in a heap of pure, unadulterated embarrassment. But her humiliation quickly turns into a fiery declaration. With his identity safe, Yelin leaps away into the darkness. He breathes a sigh of relief, hoping his ruse worked. The encounter was a waste of time. He needs to get back to leveling. He checks his new skill, a curse that negates a fatal blow. For him, this means he can now survive any lethal attack. The synergy with his regeneration is almost too good to be true. Now he can grind levels without any fear of the consequences. The trial continues into its third and final day. Back in the real world, a massive crowd watches the final day unfold. The Chingcheng principal smugly greets the other school officials. They remind him the all-time record for this trial is level 11. The rival principals recall the record holder, wondering if it will be broken. Their petty squabbles are silenced by the swirling vortex of the portal. A new figure arrives, the renowned astrologer Zhuge Chenxing. He's Zhuge Nini's father, here to check on his prized daughter. Just then, the portal flares to life, signaling an early return. The officials are confused, wondering if a student has been injured. A figure emerges from the cosmic gate, stepping onto the field. It's Zhuge Nini, greeting her father with an air of absolute triumph. She reveals her final level, a staggering, record-shattering level 12. The officials are left speechless as the old record is utterly demolished. Her father chides her for leaving early, a higher level within her grasp. But she reveals her true motive, to find the mysterious savior, Ling Ye. Back in the trial, Yelin sneezes, feeling like someone's talking about him. He surveys the empty forest, wondering if he's made the local fauna extinct. To find more monsters, he prepares to use another forbidden curse. He sacrifices a kidney for a tenfold boost in agility. Guess he's got one to spare. The power surges through him as he becomes a blur of motion. He tears across the landscape at an impossible speed. The world itself seems to warp around his incredible velocity. He finally finds what he's looking for, a fresh batch of monsters to hunt. He spots his next target, a three-headed storm mantis. He sacrifices yet another organ to fuel his forbidden arts. Yes, that says bladder. A storm of ashen thunder descends, annihilating his prey. Back in the real world, the trial ends as students pour from the portal. But Zhuge Nini only has eyes for one person, her mysterious savior, Ling Ye. With 5 minutes left, the crowd assumes the record belongs to her alone. She waits by the gate, refusing to believe she could have missed him. Just then, a lone figure emerges as the final seconds tick away. But it's only Yelin, who casually explains he came out because time was up. Disgusted, she dismisses him as a coward, completely unaware of the truth. He dismisses her strange behavior, wondering what her problem is. The principal rushes over, eager to hear the final results. Yelin calmly announces his new level, a record-shattering 16. The crowd erupts in disbelief, the old record completely demolished. They calculate the impossible number of kills required for such a feat. But the Chingcheng principal is overjoyed, praising him as the academy's pride. A rival official scoffs, attributing his speed to his life-draining curses. The whispers turn to pity, calling him a fool trading his life for fame. So much for being the hero of the day. Another official accuses the principal of forcing Yelin's hand for glory. But Yelin steps in, claiming he'd rather burn bright than fade away. Zhuge Chengxing praises Yelin's bold words, declaring him the undeniable winner. He introduces himself as Zhuge Nini's father, offering a powerful connection. But Nini interrupts, insisting her savior, Ling Ye, is the true number one. The other officials are baffled, having never heard of this mysterious student. Seeing his chance, Yelin excuses himself to head home and prepare for the next exam. As the portal closes, Nini blames Yelin for distracting her from finding her hero. Her father questions her early exit, and she reveals it was all to find her savior. Her father connects the dots, suggesting Yelin might be the very person she seeks. She scoffs at the idea, convinced the cowardly Yelin could never be her hero. Miles away, Yelin sneezes, completely unaware he's the topic of conversation. He mutters to himself, certain Zhuge Nini is the one talking behind his back. A sudden knock at the door interrupts his thoughts, leaving him puzzled. He opens the door to a man in a suit, a manager from a local company. The man explains he's here to offer Yelin a lucrative endorsement deal. Yelin cuts straight to the point, asking just how substantial the pay is. The manager reveals the staggering offer, a cool 3 million. Stunned, Yelin listens as the man pitches his Brain King elixir. He calculates the price in spare kidneys. Guess fame really does pay. With a shrug, he decides to give the strange elixir a try. He notes the sweet taste, but his expression hints at something more. The world spins as the elixir's true nature is revealed. The endorsement was a lie, a simple trap to capture our boy. He delivers the unconscious Ye Lin to a secluded location. The manager is coldly dismissed, warned to forget what he's seen. It's the surgeon from the alley, and he's just discovered Ye Lin's secret. He realizes Ye Lin holds the key to mastering regeneration. He laughs, lost in a fantasy of ultimate power and control. But his moment of triumph is suddenly cut short. He turns to find his prize sitting up, completely unfazed. Guess the elephant tranquilizer wasn't strong enough. Ye Lin calmly ignores the question, asking one of his own. The surgeon threatens Ye Lin, revealing he's a level 20 phantom blade. Ye Lin prepares to fight, deciding against a fiery approach to avoid attention. Instead, he unleashes a new forbidden curse, the eternal freezing gaze. The surgeon is caught off guard as ice rapidly encases his body. He tries to shatter his frozen prison, but the ice holds firm. He can't believe a level 16 student could overpower him so easily. Ye Lin calmly interrogates his captive, asking who else knows his secret. Deciding to believe him, Ye Lin promises to end this quickly. Guess customer service isn't his strong suit. He raises a fist, preparing to deliver the final blow. A single punch shatters the ice, and the surgeon along with it. With the threat gone, Ye Lin decides to sacrifice his stomach to purge the poison. The curse's aftermath is absolute, leaving only frozen fragments behind. Only the manager remains, pleading for his life as Ye Lin demands answers. A flash of power and a simple choice, talk or die, loosens his tongue. He screams the name of his boss, Kensen, the city's underground king. Ye Lin recognizes the name, a supposed philanthropist. This just got complicated. Deep in the city's black market, a subordinate reports to his boss. The boss, Kensen, learns his surgeon is missing and the target is gone. He's not exactly thrilled with the news. His man reports the farmhouse was found in ruins, destroyed by a powerful user. Enraged, Kensen orders his men to find whoever is responsible, now. The next day, Ye Lin is chauffeured to a lavish estate by his new underling. He plays the part of a magnanimous boss, dismissing the 2 million tuition fee. His performance works perfectly, earning him a warm welcome into the mansion. But it's all an act. The bully sees Ye Lin as a simpleton, blinded by pride. Meanwhile, Ye Lin knows exactly what he's doing, seeking refuge from Kensen. He's greeted by a line of maids, a world away from his rundown apartment. It's a lifestyle he's only ever dreamed of. Guess money really can buy happiness. His host offers him the services of the maids for the night. But our boy quickly backpedals when they take him seriously. Ling Yu promises to show him something big, his intentions still a mystery. Ling Yu reveals their destination, the city's exclusive annual auction, but Ye Lin ignores the networking, making a beeline for the buffet. Ling Yu smirks, convinced Ye Lin is just an unsophisticated fool. Our boy happily digs in, needing to make up for that sacrificed stomach. Guess that's one way to justify a second helping. But his meal is interrupted by a familiar and unwelcome voice. It's Juga Nini, with a friend who asks about the strange boy. Ye Lin groans internally, wondering why fate keeps throwing them together. Her friend asks if this is her mysterious savior, but Nini scoffs at the idea. He watches them leave, amused by her complete ignorance of the truth. Just then, Ling Yu returns with his crew, proudly introducing Ye Lin as his boss. Ling Yu's friends are baffled by his sudden subservience, but their mockery turns to awe when they learn Ye Lin is level 16. Ye Lin plays the part of a generous leader, offering to help them level up. His new followers are ecstatic, but there's a catch. They can't leave the city. He offers a loophole, then feigns helplessness over his lack of equipment. But Ling Yu is one step ahead, declaring that's an easy problem to solve. He offers Ye Lin a blank check for the auction. Guess a rich dad is the ultimate cheat code. Ling Yu confirms his father will pay any price for a good exam score. Just then, a spotlight cuts through the darkness as the main event begins. The auctioneer, Ching Ching, takes the stage, welcoming the city's elite. The auctioneer wishes the bidders luck, her words echoing over a sea of grasping hands. The first item is unveiled, an epic fire skill scroll, perfect for a certain SSS rank mage. The bids escalate in a flurry of raised hands and rising numbers. But Zhuge Qianxing silences the room with a staggering bid of 3 million. Ye Lin watches, unconcerned, knowing his own forbidden powers can't be bought. He advises Ling Yu to find something useful, playing the part of a wise mentor. The next item is a rare dragon ring, promising a massive boost in power. The crowd erupts once more, the price soaring past 3 million in seconds. Ye Lin calmly decides the ring will be his and tells Ling Yu to make it happen. Ling Yu simply turns to his father, who agrees to secure the prize. Must be nice having a walking ATM for a dad. Ling Yu's father bids 8 million, a cold investment in his son's future. The auctioneer's voice echoes through the hall, the final call for bids. But a new challenger emerges, raising the price to a staggering 10 million. He approaches their table, and President Ji recognizes the city's underground king, Kensen. The name catches Yelin's attention, his eyes locking onto the man hunting him. He quickly turns away, desperate to avoid being discovered by his new enemy. Kensen confronts President Ji, accusing him of killing his men. Annoyed by the accusation, President Ji raises the bid to 12 million. Kensen accepts the challenge, turning the auction into a dangerous power play. It's revealed Kensen's men trace the manager's car right back to the Ji family. Kensen's fury boils over, threatening to wipe out the entire Ji family. But his threats are empty as the auctioneer's hammer falls, sealing the deal. President Ji presents the ring to Yelin, a prize won through a dangerous game. Ling Yu's father explains Kensen's dark history and his ambitions to expand his empire. Yelin offers a word of caution, and President Ji acknowledges the wisdom in his words. He slips on the ring, its power boosting his spiritual energy and even his luck. He reassures them both, promising to help Ling Yu in return for their generosity. Back at the mansion, Ling Yu reveals a treasure trove of equipment bought just for him. A thunder ring, a powerful necklace, and a bracelet that enhances healing are all laid out. Yelin chooses them all, especially the bracelet that could help hide his biggest secret. Ling Yu presents Yelin with his final prize, the Starfall Fracture Sword. Its true power is revealed, a spell that extends his life with every use. Elsewhere, Zhuganini relaxes, still baffled by the Ji family's investment in Yelin. She suspects a deeper plot, unable to believe they'd spend so much on a coward. But her thoughts are interrupted by news of a visitor with information. Hopeful it's a lead on her savior, she prepares to meet them. She descends to meet her guests, eager for any news about the mysterious Ling Ye. An investigator is introduced, claiming to have found the man she seeks. But his tone is grim, and the news he brings is far from heroic. He reveals, Ling Ye is now the prime suspect in a deadly arson case. Guess her hero might be a villain after all. Zhuganini immediately rejects the idea. Her hero could never be a killer. The investigator explains they found no trace of a Ling Ye. But he reveals another suspect who fits the profile, Ye Lin. She scoffs at the notion, dismissing Ye Lin as a coward. The investigator's eye glows, asking if she's absolutely certain. He uses a lie detection skill as she confidently denies the connection. Convinced by her honesty, he drops the case and takes his leave. Guess her stubbornness just saved Yelin a lot of trouble. Elsewhere, Yelin and Ling Yu arrive at a high-tech training facility. He ignores the standard options, requesting a room far above his level. He enters a chamber built for level 40 warriors, ready for a real challenge. The investigator leaves, convinced by her denial. Guess being stubborn has its perks. Back at the training facility, Yelin is eager to test his new gear. He ignores the standard options, requesting a room far above his level. He enters a chamber built for level 40 warriors, ready for a real challenge. An army of high-level training dummies awakens to meet him. With no cameras watching, he's free to unleash his true power. He channels a curse through his new sword, ready for the first test. A single swing sends a wave of energy tearing through the entire room. Satisfied with the result, he prepares to try out his other curses. Outside, Ling Yu explains that his boss's training methods are a little intense. Yelin emerges, asking if he'll have to pay for any damages. He and Ling Yu head out, leaving the staff to clean up, but the attendant can't help but take a quick peek inside. She finds a scene of absolute carnage. Guess the warranty is void. Later that night, the Ji family residence is quiet and still, but the peace is broken by a swift and silent strike. One of the guards collapses, his partner completely unaware. He looks up just in time to see the face of his own doom. The disturbance reaches President Ji in his private study. His butler bursts in, screaming for his master to run for his life. But the warning comes too late as a blade pierces the butler's chest. Kensen stands over the body, his greeting dripping with malice. President Ji draws a pistol, his face a mask of pure rage. But Kensen moves like lightning, disarming him in a single fluid motion. He mocks the man for bringing a gun to an awakened fight. A subordinate arrives, reporting that their main targets are missing. Furious, Kensen orders his men to keep the old man alive. For now. At that moment, Yelin and Ling Yu approach the silent mansion. Ling Yi wonders about the darkness, assuming a simple power outage. But Yelin's eyes narrow. He knows this is something far more sinister. The metallic tang of blood hits the air and Yelin bolts inside. They're met with a grim scene of fallen guards at the doorway. Ling Yu stammers in disbelief, but Yelin warns him of the danger. As Ling Yu calls out for his father, Yelin spots a note on a table. He picks up the paper, his expression hardening as he reads. He turns to show Ling Yu the message left by their attackers. The note is a ransom. Yelin's life in exchange for President Ji's. Ling Yu's shock turns to pure rage as he vows to kill Kensen. Yelin accepts the blame, insisting he'll go alone to save Ling Yu's father. But Ling Yu's protest is cut short by a swift strike, knocking him out cold. Guess that's one way to win an argument. He makes a silent vow to bring Ling Yu's father back home. With his friends safe, he prepares to walk into the lion's den. He vows to show Kensen the true power of a man with nothing to lose. He heads for the city's underbelly, Kensen's dark domain. The entrance to the black market is his destination. He moves through the night, a shadow on a mission. He lands silently, his face now hidden behind a mask. He surveys the scene, glad he made it before the exchange. But his arrival hasn't gone unnoticed by the man in charge. Kensen's men emerge, their weapons trained on their target. He spots the infrared cameras, a high-tech welcome party. He decides stealth is overrated and prepares to go in loud. He unleashes a curse, sacrificing a kidney for a power boost. Kensen's men open fire, ordered to take him down, but he moves like a phantom, dodging their bullets with ease. A sphere of dark energy gathers, blotting out the night sky. It descends, trapping the gunman in a vortex of pure darkness. He lands, vowing that no one will leave alive to reveal his secret. He charges forward, announcing his arrival to the underground king. Guess he's feeling a little dramatic tonight. But his path is blocked by a sudden blast of wind magic. Yelin is forced back, surprised by his opponent's sudden speed. He analyzes his foe, a powerful wind user, at least level 30. Two of Kensen's enforcers mock him for walking into their trap. But Yelin is unfazed, ready to test out his new sword. He unleashes his Starfall Trace, a curse that extends his own life. The first enforcer blocks the strike, angered by his arrogance. Yelin presses the attack, his blade a blur of cursed energy. The second enforcer joins the fight, swinging her blade from above. He dodges effortlessly, weaving between his two opponents. But they just laugh. His attack's apparently just a light exfoliation. He smirks, telling them they haven't seen anything yet. He unleashes a flurry of strikes, counting each one aloud. The enforcers struggle to parry his relentless assault. His blade becomes a blur, overwhelming their defenses completely. The male enforcer falls, leaving his partner in stunned disbelief. Yelin admits that last hit was a bit rough, but he's just getting started. The remaining thug is left terrified, unable to comprehend his power. Yelin coldly tells him that dead men don't need answers. A single, final strike ends the fight in a flash of steel. The last survivor can only scream in terror, calling him a devil. The last thug's final thought is of the devil he just faced. But a new challenger appears, stopping Yelin in his tracks. Yelin reminds him of his vow. No one leaves this place alive. Suddenly, a nearby wall explodes inward with incredible force. The remaining thugs flee in terror, screaming that he's unkillable. He continues his ascent, counting each strike against his new foe. He tells his opponent not to run as he's lost count of his hits. Guess he'll have to start over. But his taunt is cut short by a sudden realization. He's now face to face with the black market's top fighter. The fighter grins, intrigued by how Yelin is still standing. Yelin tries to negotiate, asking his opponent to drop the massive axe. But the fighter has other plans, deciding to kill him first and ask questions later. The axe crashes down, sending shockwaves through the entire building. Yelin activates another curse, burning reincarnation, to even the odds. The fighter laughs, mocking Yelin for trading his life force for a temporary boost. The two clash in a blur of motion, axe and sword meeting in a deadly dance. He scoffs at Yelin's sword skills, unimpressed by the display. But Yelin's expression is one of cold, calculated focus. The axe finds its mark, a brutal strike that should have ended the fight. Yelin is sent flying, crashing into a wall with bone-shattering force. He lies broken on the ground, seemingly defeated. The fighter mocks him, but Yelin admits his sword skills were lacking. But his wounds seal as he rises, declaring the warm-up is over. He prepares to sacrifice nearly his entire organ collection for this next move. With his body as fuel, he prepares to unleash a truly forbidden curse. A spectral dragon of pure thunder descends upon the black market. The fighter can only stare in disbelief at the overwhelming power. He raises his axe to defend, but it's like trying to stop a hurricane. The thunder dragon consumes him, his screams lost in the storm. In an instant, the black market's strongest fighter is reduced to dust. Yelin stands over the remains, declaring his thunder superior to his sword. But the backlash hits hard. Even he feels dizzy after sacrificing so many organs. Elsewhere, Kensen relaxes, completely unaware his best fighter is now a pile of dust. He's distracted by his companion, lost in a moment of false security. But the peace is shattered as the door to his chamber explodes inward. Yelin emerges from the smoke, demanding to know where President Ji is. Kensen rises, shocked that a mere boy made it past his strongest enforcer. With a cold declaration, Yelin leaps forward to finish the job. But Kensen catches the blade with his bare hand, mocking the boy's audacity. He seizes Yelin by the throat, the power gap between them painfully clear. Kenzin unleashes his power, taunting the boy with a lesson for his next life. He tosses the broken body aside, annoyed he's wasted so much time, but his victory is cut short by a sudden, impossible sight. Yelin rises from the floor, his body regenerating in a flash of golden light. The underground king can only stare, unable to believe the boy is still alive. Yelin declares the fun isn't over and sacrifices his eye for another curse. Guess he's got a spare for that too. He unleashes the familiar power of his eternal freezing gaze. Kenzin is instantly encased in ice, his strength completely nullified. With the tables turned, Yelin demands to know where President G is. But even trapped, Kenzin refuses to talk, a strange flame flickering in his hand. Kenzin roars in agony as the curse shatters his arms from within. With a flick of his wrist, Yelin sends the frozen king flying across the room. But Kenzin's companion emerges, holding President G at gunpoint. Yelin mocks the villain, asking if he's ready to trade hostages. The standoff begins, a tense triangle of threats and defiance. With a scream of rage, she unloads her entire clip directly at Yelin. The bullets tear through him in a desperate attempt to end the fight. He falls to his knees as she urges her boss to make his escape. But her victory is short-lived as Yelin rises without a single scratch. He casually dismisses the attack, ready to end this once and for all. His companion watches in horror as her gun is encased in solid ice. Kenzin screams in defiance, daring Yelin to finish the job. Annoyed by the noise, Yelin moves in to grant his final wish. With the king dead, he turns his cold gaze to the last one standing. She asks if he'll kill her too, as he retrieves the unconscious President G. But Yelin simply walks away, claiming he doesn't kill women. She's left speechless, spared by the very monster who destroyed her world. The battle is over, but the night's work isn't quite finished. Yelin leaves a parting gift, engulfing the entire district in cleansing fire. Back at the G Villa, President G is finally safe and sound. Ling Yu is overcome with emotion, relieved to see his father alive and well. President G asks Yelin how he managed to pull off such a daring rescue. Yelin deflects, crediting the mysterious Ling Ye for the entire operation. He keeps the lie simple, claiming he barely knows the Phantom Hero himself. But their conversation is cut short by the arrival of the Investigation Bureau. The lead officer presents a warrant, naming Yelin as a prime murder suspect. Realizing resistance is too risky, Yelin decides to play along for now. As he's led away, President G promises to secure the best legal help money can buy. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a door opens on a different scene. Kenzin's former second-in-command receives news about the man she's looking for, Ling Ye. She's shocked to hear they've found the man she's looking for. Her subordinate excuses himself, leaving her to prepare for her guest. But it's revealed he's the same manager, now playing a long game of his own. Meanwhile, Yelin arrives at the imposing Investigation Bureau headquarters. He's led to a grim interrogation room to await his questioner. He calmly states he won't say a word until his lawyer is present. The officer warns him not to get too confident in his situation. He grabs Yelin by the collar, demanding he hand over a mysterious item. The interrogation turns violent as he demands the key taken from Kenzin. But Yelin is genuinely clueless, warning the officer he's got the wrong guy. The officer insists Yelin has the key, but our boy tries to bluff his way out. His bluff earns him a swift punch to the face. Guess negotiations are over. Beaten, Yelin asks to make a single phone call, but his eyes burn with cold fury, vowing to repay this humiliation. 10 minutes later, a new figure arrives at the interrogation room. It's Zhuge Qianxing, Nini's father, holding the very key they're looking for. He hands over the key, making it clear Yelin is to be left alone. Yelin thanks his unexpected savior, but his mind races with suspicion. Zhuge Qianxing reveals he knows Yelin's secret, a dangerous truth to possess. Stunned, Yelin wonders if he has to kill the man to keep his secret safe. Yelin plays dumb, asking what immortality even is. But Zhuge Qianxing saw the killing intent in his eyes, confirming the truth. He notes Yelin's weakness, then makes a shocking offer to take him as a disciple. He explains he's running out of time and needs to entrust Yelin with a great task. Yelin is wary, wondering what this powerful man could possibly want from him. He questions the key, but Zhuge Qianxing reveals he gave the Bureau a fake. He presents the real prize, the legendary ancient heavenly key. He speaks of a legend, of a gate that brought monsters and 7 artifacts to their world. And this key is the only thing that can open that gate once more. Guess it's not for a storage locker. With his secret exposed, Yelin has no choice but to accept the man's offer. Zhuge Qianxing praises Yelin's potential, but has one final request. He asks Yelin to take care of his daughter after he's gone. Yelin is completely caught off guard by the sudden heavy burden. He awkwardly tries to reassure the man, promising him a long life. The master laughs it off, changing the subject as they leave the bureau. Their destination is the lavish Zhug family estate, but their arrival is met with a furious Zhuganini. Yelin calmly suggests she take it up with management. She confronts her father, demanding to know why Yelin is in their home. Her father drops 2 bombshells. Yelin is his disciple, and he's the hero she's been looking for. She scoffs at the idea, calling him a liar and a coward. With a final threat, she storms off, vowing to expose his deception. Zhu Qiangxing dismisses his daughter's outburst as simple arrogance. He changes the subject, offering Yelin a gift for the final test. Yelin opens the box to find a strange skin-like patch inside. It's an illusion skin, a perfect tool for his double life. Guess the master is in on the secret identity. The next day, Yelin arrives for the test, greeted by his new followers. But his reunion is interrupted by a familiar angry voice. Ling Yu steps in to defend his boss, but Nini vows to unmask him. But their petty squabbles are cut short by the screech of tires. The principal delivers a final, rousing speech to the students of Qingcheng Academy. Fired up by his words, the students roar in unison, ready for the challenge. 30 minutes later, their buses arrive at the imposing Qingcheng city gate. The students are left in awe by the sheer scale of the structure before them. Yilin gives his new underling a final instruction. Stick to the plan. The principal lays out the first trial, a 10-kilometer run through a monster-infested wilderness. With a deafening groan, the ancient gates begin to part, revealing the path ahead. The final test officially begins as they step into the unknown. The students charge forward, with Zhuganini vowing to outperform Yelin. The officials watch from above, betting on how few will actually succeed. Talk about a supportive faculty. The Qingcheng principal smugly boasts that at least 2 of his students will succeed. But the path ahead is a boneyard, the stench of death heavy in the air. Their first real test erupts from the ground, a level 11 demon lizard. Panic spreads as the students scatter, their courage failing them instantly. The officials scoff at the display, with Qingcheng's principal smugly disowning the cowards. But a lone figure charges forward, clearing a path through the chaos. A single blinding slash of his sword ends the monster's rampage. He lands without a scratch, a silent and deadly new player on the field. Guess someone decided to show up for the final exam. The officials recognize Yelin, wondering why he's using a sword instead of his curses. He calls over Ling Yu, offering his new underling the final glorious kill. Ling Yu lands the final strike, earning them both a share of the experience. Elsewhere, Zhuganini scoffs at the idea of teamwork, vowing to surpass Yelin on her own. But Yelin is completely unconcerned with her rivalry, his focus solely on the path ahead. He and Ling Yu become a whirlwind of destruction, cutting through monsters with ease. The strategy pays off as Ling Yu levels up, pledging his undying loyalty to his new boss. But Yelin warns him not to celebrate yet, leading them deeper into the wilderness. He calmly explains their new hunting grounds will be filled with level 20 beasts. Guess safety first isn't in his vocabulary. They venture far from the safety of the gate, leaving the other students far behind. Back on the wall, the officials worry Yelin is being too reckless with his new follower. But deep in the forest, the sudden flight of birds signals a new, greater danger. They leap through the trees, leaving the other students in their dust. Their new hunting grounds are home to much deadlier prey. Yilin warns his new follower to be careful, but Ling Yu trusts his boss. Realizing his sword skill is too draining, Yelin resorts to a familiar power source. He unleashes a torrent of forbidden thunder, wiping the beasts from existence. Ling Yu is stunned by the carnage, but Yelin promises the real fun is just beginning. But their path is blocked by an examiner, warning them not to go any further. Ling Yu worries they're leaving the test zone, but Yilin seems unconcerned. Suddenly, his eyes widen as he senses a new danger approaching. He screams a warning to the examiner, who has no idea what's coming. The examiner scoffs, refusing to fall for such an obvious trick. But the level 33 goblin hero behind him is very, very real. His confidence shatters as he screams for everyone to run for their lives. Yelin shoves them to safety, ordering them to escape while he holds it off. He forces Ling Yu to flee, insisting he'll handle this alone. Guess that's one way to get your point across. He realizes he can't defeat this beast without revealing his true power. With no other choice, he prepares to sacrifice for a forbidden spell. But the examiner steps up, telling Yelin to escape while he signals for help. His heroic last stand is cut tragically short by a single brutal strike. The flare flies uselessly into the sky as the examiner's body is cast aside. The flare explodes in the sky, a desperate call for aid. Yelin curses the examiner's heroism, his secret now at risk. But his problems double as a second goblin hero emerges from the chaos. Suddenly, 2 mysterious figures arrive, telling the examiner to get to safety. Yelin agrees, offering to carry the injured man out of the fight. But as he retreats, a cunning plan begins to form in his mind. He pulls out the illusion skin, the perfect tool for his double life. He places the strange patch on the examiner's face, a perfect disguise. With a quick change of clothes, the examiner becomes a perfect decoy. Guess identity theft is a valid strategy. Meanwhile, the two mysterious warriors prepare to end the goblin threat quickly. The first warrior roars in fury at the goblin's intrusion, but a third figure arrives, offering his assistance to his colleagues. The newcomer with the bandana vows to end the beast himself. He unleashes a forbidden spell, the Eternal Arrow. The golden projectiles rain down, obliterating the goblin hero. The monster falls, leaving behind experience and a rare item drop. He marvels at his luck, noting how rarely monsters drop loot. But his colleagues are furious, accusing him of stealing their kill. He simply smiles, introducing himself as the humble, kind man. Guess modesty isn't his strong suit. Annoyed, the other two decide to deal with the show-off later. Ye Lin, in his new disguise, smirks, confident his ruse will work. He's now deep in the forest, far from any prying eyes. Leaving the unconscious examiner as a perfect decoy, guess he's not getting Employee of the Month. Ye Lin takes a moment to appreciate the power of the illusion skin. He examines his prize, a talisman that lets him share experience. But his planning is interrupted by a desperate cry for help. A lone student flees from a terrifying, scythe-wielding beast. The monster swings its massive blade, ready to claim another victim. The student can only scream as his life flashes before his eyes. A flash of steel cuts through the air, sealing the student's fate. But the blade never lands. A figure stands between them. Ye Lin calmly explains the goblin hero threat is over. He places the talisman on Ling Yu's hand, a silent pact. But their moment is cut short by another jackal-headed beast. He unleashes his life-draining sword skill once more. The monster is obliterated, and the talisman's power activates. Ling Yu is stunned. Realizing he's gaining experience from the kill, Ye Lin tells him to pull his own weight, a comment Ling Yu takes the wrong way. Guess some things get lost in translation. He explains they need to hunt separately to maximize their gains. Ling Yu reluctantly agrees, unsure he can survive on his own. Elsewhere, another group of students struggles against a single werewolf. Suddenly, a blur of motion zips past them at impossible speed. They watch in awe as a spell obliterates 3 monsters in an instant. The students recognize Ye Lin, the infamous forbidden spellcaster. They notice his wounds healing, attributing it to his powerful equipment. But Ye Lin knows the bracelet is just a cover for his true secret. Deeper in the forest, another student flees from a hulking minotaur. The other students panic, realizing a level 20 beast is beyond them. But Ye Lin stands his ground, calmly claiming the entire horde for himself. He becomes a whirlwind of steel, cutting down every beast in his path. Ling Yu is flooded with experience, marveling at his boss's power. Back on the wall, the officials watch Ye Lin's rampage on screen. The principal laments his student's cursed class, a dragon with a death sentence. But a new group of students has a different strategy. Their leader explains that patience has cleared their path of all danger. They rush through the now silent forest, their path completely safe. Guess piggybacking is a valid tactic. Ye Lin reaches the next stage, having cleared the entire forest to reach level 18. He steps toward the portal, ready for the final part of the test. With a single step, he crosses the threshold into the unknown. His expression is grim, his focus absolute as he enters the final zone. He finds himself in a vast cosmic chamber, the final stage of the exam. Ling Yu rushes over, his loyalty now bordering on obsession. He boasts about reaching level 15 while Ye Lin tries to shut him up. Elsewhere, another student laments her slow progress, confident she'll dominate the final test. Suddenly the examiners arrive, their presence silencing the anxious crowd. A massive monolith stands before them as an official calls for order. The chief examiner, Lin Yuan, welcomes the survivors to their final trial. He reminds them that the forest was just a filter. Only the strong remain. The test is divided into 2 parts, a comprehensive assessment and a ring battle. The rules are simple. Pass the assessment to qualify for the final combat trials. The examiner adds a final rule. No special items are allowed. The students are herded into groups, ready to enter the assessment room. A new student steps forward, his entire future on the line. He vows to seize this moment and write his own destiny. He steps through the portal, his world dissolving into light. Inside, a grand hall awaits, overseen by the academy's elite. The chief examiner, Lin Yuan, watches the proceedings with a calm demeanor. A supervisor from the Supreme Academy arrives, apologizing for her tardiness. He reassures her, asking if any of this year's students stand out. He points out a student named Lin Ye, already level 18, but hints at a tragic flaw. The supervisor notes that even a forbidden spellcaster would be accepted by the Supreme Academy, but Lin Yuan laments that he isn't one, or Qing Cheng would have another legend. Just then, Ye Lin's results flash across the screen. A perfect score, but his stats leave the officials baffled by his warrior-level strength. The third stage begins, a test of pure, unadulterated power. Yelin knows he can't reveal his true power, so he decides to hold back. He sacrifices a tonsil, a small price for a small demonstration. Guess he's got spares for those too. He unleashes a small wave of world-destroying thunder. The attack completely vaporizes a dummy built for level 25 warriors. The officials can only stare, realizing the boy is using forbidden spells in the final exam. The fourth stage is a test of agility, and Yelin passes with flying colors. His explosive power is tested next, earning him yet another perfect score. The results keep pouring in, a flawless record across every single category. But the chief examiner sees only a boy burning his life away for a fleeting moment of glory. An assistant suggests raising the difficulty, just to see how far he can go. But the Supreme Academy supervisor dismisses him as a poor investment. Guess a short, bright flame isn't on their recruitment poster. The chief examiner can only sigh, a prodigy's potential wasted by a cruel fate. The students emerge from the assessment, their futures now set in stone. Ling Yu rushes over, ecstatic to tell his boss he passed with a high score. Yilin questions why it wasn't a perfect score as other students lament their results. The final rankings are announced, with Yelin and Nini tied for first. The high scorers are given a choice: fight in the final trial or forfeit. But Zhuge Nini objects, furious to be ranked second despite her perfect score. The crowd cries foul, but the examiner directs their attention to the screen. A replay shows Nini's impressive skill against a level 25 monster. But Yelin's replay shows him vaporizing the same beast in under a second. The students realize a perfect score isn't always a perfect score. The entire crowd is left in stunned, humbled silence. The examiner asks if there are any more objections. Guess not. Their complaints die on their lips, replaced by pure, unadulterated shock. The examiner asks again if anyone objects to the results. The supervisor announces a short break before the final tournament begins. The other officials shower the Qingcheng principal with praise for his star students. He can't contain his glee, especially when they mention Ling Yu's high rank too. But his rivals warn him not to celebrate too early. The tournament is the real test. 30 minutes later, the top students gather for the final showdown. Zhuge Nini confronts Yelin, vowing to defeat him in the upcoming battles. He just sighs, completely baffled by her one-sided rivalry. The rules are laid out. A single elimination tournament decided by lottery. And the first matchup is drawn, Yelin versus a student named Bei Bei Bei. Ling Yu points out their tournament numbers and Yelin calmly notes his opponent. With a wave to his new underling, Yelin steps forward for his first match. He faces a level 10 water mage, calmly suggesting she surrender to avoid the inevitable. But she refuses to back down, and Yelin offers a final word of respect for her courage. He decides to end this quickly, summoning a familiar spark of forbidden power. A storm of azure thunder erupts, engulfing the entire arena in a flash. A spectral dragon of pure lightning descends upon his helpless opponent. The crowd can only stare in disbelief at the overwhelming display of magic. The attack lands, and his opponent is completely vaporized in an instant. Guess he doesn't do warning shots. But an examiner screams in fury, reminding him that killing is strictly forbidden. Yelin explains he never intended to kill her, only to force a surrender. But his opponent is left a sobbing mess, completely broken by the experience. The crowd turns on him, calling him a monster for his brutal display. He calmly adjusts his glasses, reminding her that surrender was always an option. The examiner declares him the winner as his terrified opponent is led away. Guess that's one way to make an impression. He dismisses the match as a shame and decides to watch the other fights. The tournament continues with a series of one-sided battles. Other students clash in a flurry of magic and steel across the arenas. The first round concludes as the winners are announced one by one. With the field narrowed, the second round of the tournament officially begins. A new challenger eyes Yelin, admitting a fight would be difficult. But the level 11 swordsman vows to win the battle no matter what. His opponent takes the threat seriously, preparing for a difficult fight. But before the match can even begin, a voice cries out in surrender. The confident swordsman forfeits, leaving his opponent completely baffled. The other student is left speechless by the sudden anticlimactic end. The swordsman walks away, promising to settle the score in the future. The examiner declares Yelin the winner of the second round by default. The crowd realizes no one wants to risk their life against the infamous spellcaster. With another effortless victory, the tournament moves on to the third round. Another opponent forfeits, cursing his bad luck at drawing the monster. But his next challenger is furious he didn't even get a chance to fight. The crowd murmurs, wondering how Ye-lin keeps winning without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, other matches are far more intense as blades clash. Two high-level students, Wang Zhengguang and Luo Jun, face off in the arena. The two trade insults, their rivalry clear for all to see. The other students can only watch, terrified by their overwhelming power. Their battle is broadcast for everyone in the arena to witness. The officials watch on, with the supervisor predicting a clear winner. Luo Jun unleashes a powerful skill, ready to end the fight. The swordsman in red unleashes a devastating strike, overwhelming his opponent. Luo Jun's blades shatter under the immense pressure of the attack. Elsewhere, Ye-lin sighs in boredom, having been skipped yet again. But his attention is suddenly caught by the next matchup on the screen. It's Ling Yu versus Zhuge Nini, a fight he's actually interested in watching. Nini questions Ling Yu's loyalty, asking what Ye-lin offered him. But Ling Yu fiercely defends his boss, vowing she'll one day regret her words. Annoyed, she unleashes a storm of fireballs. Guess she doesn't like being talked back to. Ling Yu is stunned, realizing her powerful spells are all instant cast. He's immediately engulfed in a series of fiery explosions. Ling Yu knows he's at a disadvantage. A single hit could end this. She challenges him to keep dodging as he leaps between floating platforms. A pillar of fire erupts from below, threatening to swallow him whole. With nowhere left to run, he decides to meet the flames head-on. He unleashes a powerful sword skill, cleaving through the inferno. He emerges from the smoke, a fiery silhouette against the chaos. Exhausted but defiant, he vows to continue the fight. But Nini is unimpressed, calling him a fool as she prepares another spell. She unleashes a final, overwhelming wave of fire, demanding his surrender. The officials panic, ordering the examiners to prepare for a rescue. But Ling Yu emerges from the inferno, a defiant silhouette against the flames. Zhuge Nini can only stare in disbelief, shocked by his resilience. He leaps through the air, sword first, in a desperate final charge. His blade stops just inches from her throat, a clear and final warning. He tells her she can provoke him, but never ever his boss. Just then, Ye-lin appears, catching his friend as he finally collapses. The examiners rush in, screaming for medics to treat the fallen student. Ye-lin uses the healing bracelet, trying to stabilize Ling Yu's failing heart. Nini tries to apologize, but Ye-lin tells her he knows she didn't mean for it to go this far. As Ling Yu is carried away, he tells his boss to win it all for him. The final four are announced, with Ye-lin set to face the formidable Luo Jun. The rival principals debate the outcome, mocking Ye-lin's life-draining class. But Qing Cheng's principal is confident, telling them to wait for the final result. Luo Jun enters the arena, a level 14 spear user ready for a fight. He declares Ye-lin his only true rival, the final obstacle to his victory. The match begins as Luo Jun lunges, demanding his opponent's surrender. But Ye-lin blocks the strike, deciding to test his new sword skills instead. Luo Jun is stunned by his close combat prowess. Guess he's never met a spellcaster who lifts. Ye-lin unleashes his life-stealing sword skill, ready to put on a show. The crowd murmurs in confusion, wondering why the spellcaster isn't casting spells. The officials realize his sword skill is also a forbidden art that consumes his life. They question the cost of his victory, wondering if he's throwing his life away. Ye-lin asks for a surrender, but Luo Jun knows he's on the verge of defeat. Pushed to his limit, Luo Jun decides to unleash his own hidden power. He counters with a powerful shadow strike, meeting Ye-lin's blade head-on. But it's a feint, revealing he's not the only one with forbidden arts up his sleeve. Ye-lin realizes his opponent has activated a forbidden spell talisman. Guess those aren't cheap. Luo Jun unleashes his ultimate attack, the devastating Shadow Dragon Meteor. The dark energy slams into Ye-lin, a direct and brutal hit. The arena is rocked by the force of the forbidden spell's impact. The dust settles, leaving Ye-lin's sword embedded in the arena floor. Blood drips from the wound, a grim testament to the attack's power. Ye-lin is impaled, a fatal blow that should have ended the match. Luo Jun stands over him, telling him to accept his short and pathetic fate. The crowd realizes Luo Jun used a forbidden talisman, a suicidal gamble for glory. The officials call for medics, certain that Ye-lin's life is in danger. The principals argue, accusing each other of sacrificing students for a win. Even Nini admits she couldn't have survived such a devastating strike. Guess she's not the only one with trump cards. She feels a pang of regret, but the supervisor tells her the show isn't over. Luo Jun savors his victory, mocking the fallen hero at his feet. But a voice cuts through the silence asking who said he lost. He rises, the fatal wound doing nothing to stop him. He reveals a terrifying truth. Only his own spells can kill him. The crowd can only stare, wondering if the boy is truly immortal. The officials recognize the lost art, a trait of life for invincibility. With the tables turned, Ye-lin declares the fight is far from over. He unleashes a torrent of world-destroying thunder upon his foe. The arena shatters under the weight of the overwhelming power. His opponent can only scream. His victory turned to ash in an instant. The thunder consumes him, leaving nothing but a shadow behind. Guess he should have stayed down. The other students can only cower in fear at the absolute carnage. The examiner declares Ye Lin the winner as medics rush to his fallen opponent. But Ye Lin's attention is drawn to the officials watching from above. The rival principals are left fuming, their champion utterly defeated. To keep his secret safe, Ye Lin puts on a show of being gravely injured. He knows he has to play the part perfectly, or they might suspect the truth. A rival principal erupts in fury, accusing Qingqing of attempted murder, but his complaints fall on deaf ears as he storms off in a huff. Guess someone's a sore loser. Ye Lin finds the whole ordeal more tiring than taking down an entire crime syndicate, but his instincts scream that a far more troublesome opponent is on its way. His final opponent, Zhuge Nini, offers a moment of grace before their battle, but Ye Lin refuses, ready to face his destiny now. 30 minutes later, the stage is set for the final showdown. The final match begins, the winner taking the title of top scorer. Nini knows she can't afford to be hit by one of his forbidden spells. But Ye Lin has his own problem, how to win without angering her father. She unleashes a torrent of fire, determined to claim victory for herself. But Ye Lin moves like a phantom, dodging her fiery assault with ease. He decides to wear her down, a strategy he cheekily calls Forbidden Spell, Sudden Dance. The crowd speculates, wondering if he's exhausted or just going easy on her. Nini's frustration boils over, accusing him of humiliating her. But Ye Lin continues his dance, weaving through her fiery attacks. He calmly asks if dodging is against the rules. Guess he's a fan of loopholes. Pushed to her limit, she summons her grimoire for a final, massive spell. A tidal wave of fire, the red flame surge, roars across the arena. But Ye Lin is unfazed, deciding it's time to teach her a lesson. He channels his power, his speed increasing in a blur of motion. He leaps high above the inferno, completely untouched by the flames. Nini can only watch in disbelief, stunned by his impossible speed. In a flash, his blade is at her throat, the match suddenly over. He calmly declares her defeat, the match seemingly over. But her pride is shattered, and her shock turns to pure, murderous rage. She refuses to accept defeat, unleashing another desperate wave of fire. Ye Lin is unimpressed, his patience clearly wearing thin with her arrogance. She summons a new power, a vortex of talismans and swirling flames. The officials can only stare, stunned by the immense pressure of her spell. The spell forms into a colossal fire tornado, a truly SSS rank attack. But even this overwhelming power can't seem to catch him. Guess he's had practice. He realizes with a start that this isn't just a storm, it's a homing attack. With nowhere left to run, the fiery tendrils close in for the final strike. Zhuge Nini is exhausted, demanding he finally admit defeat. But Ye Lin calmly asks if she's talking to herself. The fiery tendrils close in, a seemingly inescapable trap, but he's already behind her, explaining her fatal mistake. He schools her on the basics, a lesson she clearly missed. He tells her to end the spell before it consumes them both. But her pride is shattered, and she refuses to accept defeat. She vows to win this fight, even if it means taking them both down. Guess someone's a sore loser. The officials panic, screaming for the examiners to intervene. The fiery vortex begins to collapse, a final suicidal gambit. Ye Lin realizes her pride is more dangerous than any monster. With no other choice, he grabs her arm to pull her from the blast. He shoves her behind him, preparing to sacrifice his life force once more. A colossal structure erupts from the arena floor, a dark shield against the inferno. He summons the Wailing Wall, a forbidden spell that nullifies any attack. The demonic gate braces for impact as the firestorm crashes against it. The wall's guardian consumes the flames, swallowing the SSS rank spell whole. The crowd is left speechless, witnessing a forbidden art in a school tournament. Ye Lin smirks, glad he had another life-saving trick up his sleeve. He casually tells Nini her hair is a mess, completely downplaying the fact he just saved her life. But her anger gives way to a strange new feeling, a racing heart for the boy she despised. The crowd misreads the moment, seeing a gentle knight taming an arrogant princess. But Ye Lin shatters the fantasy with a swift kick, declaring himself the winner. Guess chivalry is dead. She lands face first on the ground, her pride completely and utterly shattered. The entire crowd is left in a state of stunned, disbelieving silence. Even the officials are at a complete loss for words at the sudden turn of events. The Qingcheng principal can only sigh, his prodigy clearly lacking in social graces. But Nini's humiliation quickly turns to a furious vow of revenge. The examiner makes it official. Ye Lin is the undisputed top scorer of the final exams. As the crowd chants his name, Yelin finally breathes a sigh of relief. It's over. The final question is posed: where will the top scorer go? With a confident smile, Yelin announces his choice: the Supreme Academy. The crowd roars in approval, chanting the name of the prestigious school. But the supervisor from that very academy appears, shattering his dream. He demands an explanation for the sudden, crushing rejection. She coldly explains his class is a death sentence, making him a worthless investment. He lowers his head, seemingly accepting his cruel and unfair fate. The whispers return, the crowd's pity mixed with cold, pragmatic logic. Guess fame is fleeting, but just as all hope seems lost, a voice cuts through the murmurs. It's the Ching principal, claiming he may have a solution to Yelin's problem. The officials turn to the principal, demanding an explanation for his bold claim. He reveals he's found a way to mitigate the curse's backlash, offering Yelin as proof. The others are stunned, questioning if such a thing is even possible. But the supervisor scoffs, doubting a mere principal could outsmart her academy's experts. He pleads with her, but she stands firm. A forbidden spellcaster is too great a risk, the crowd whispers, shocked by the academy's cold, unyielding stance. Guess they don't do charity cases, but Yelin steps in, telling his principal to let it go. It's just a school, after all. Suddenly, a hooded figure lunges from the crowd, enraged by his casual dismissal. The principal screams a warning, but Yelin's eyes are already locked on his attacker. He dodges the blast of energy, his reflexes as sharp as ever. The attacker demands to know who Yelin is, his voice filled with rage. A new challenger mocks him, calling his class a worthless death sentence. He introduces himself as Yunguan Lu, a student from the Supreme Academy. But the supervisor steps in, warning her arrogant student to back down. He plays innocent, claiming he didn't realize Yelin was so weak. Guess humble isn't in his vocabulary. The principal rushes to Yelin's side, checking for any injuries. But Yunguan Lao just laughs, calling him trash who will never surpass him. Yelin's response is cold and simple. A challenge to a death match in 1 year? The crowd gasps as the principal begs him not to be so reckless. But Yelin's eyes are locked on his new rival, demanding an answer. The arrogant student accepts, sealing the deal for a death match in 1 year. But Yelin is unfazed, vowing to show him what true power looks like. Back at Chingcheng, Yelin is hailed as a hero, the academy's top scorer. Later, he checks in on Nini, but her father says she's just nursing a bruised ego. Yelin then asks about the supervisor, Su Chengxin, and their connection. The master admits with a sigh that she was his first love. But his confession is overheard by a shocked Zhuge Nini on the stairs. Yelin is just as stunned by the sudden dramatic revelation. Guess family history is complicated. He struggles to connect the dots, certain there's more to the story. The master explains their brief romance and a breakup due to their differences. Zhuge Nini asks if her father reconciled, but he explains it was never meant to be. Yelin can't help but feel it's a shame their story ended that way. The master changes the subject, encouraging his daughter to focus on her future. Su Chengxin suggests another academy for Yelin, who seems to accept his fate. With the drama over, the master sends them off to rest for the big day tomorrow. The next day, the academy is buzzing with excitement for the final results. The principal introduces them to the city's elite, including the supervisor herself. Su Chengxin formally offers Zhuge Nini a place at the prestigious academy. She accepts, believing this victory finally puts her above her rival, Yelin. But the city lord calls Yelin over with a staggering $5 million prize. Guess second place pays pretty well too. The city lord himself greets Yelin, praising the top scorer's exceptional character. The press captures the moment, a perfect photo op for the city's new hero. But Yelin cuts right to the chase, asking when he'll get his $5 million. Guess poverty is a great motivator. His rewards are brought forward, including a case containing a rare skill scroll. The full prize is revealed: cash, an epic skill, and a token for a secret realm. He learns the token grants access to a place where he'll be immune to all damage. His master explains that while the monsters are limited, the immunity is perfect for someone like him. The city lord adds another challenge: to win the title of the nation's top scorer. His master explains the rules, and Yelin's mind immediately jumps to the bigger rewards. With a confident smile, Yelin vows to claim the national title for himself. The city's leaders proudly pose with their new champion, but the city lord offers a final crucial piece of advice. Yelin understands. The realm's immunity won't stop his curses from aging him. With his warning delivered, the city lord takes his leave. Yelin assures him he has nothing to worry about. He takes a moment to absorb the scale of the new city around him. He arrives at his accommodations, greeted by a woman in a suit. The receptionist introduces herself, ready to show him to his room. Guess this is the VIP treatment. She explains he has plenty of time to rest before the trial begins. Elsewhere, a hand clenches, a silent vow of rivalry and rage. With time to kill, Yelin decides to explore the new city, but his plans are cut short when he finds the door won't open. A sudden, frantic knocking only deepens his confusion. The door suddenly explodes inward, sending him flying back. His attacker is a young girl, demanding to know why he's in her room. He grabs her arm, but she immediately accuses him of being a pervert. Her anger flares as she prepares to teach him a painful lesson. He barely has time to react as a super-powered fist flies at his face. The blow sends him flying, crashing through the door to his own room. The impact shatters the wood, leaving a trail of destruction. Guess she doesn't knock twice. Yelin tries to explain, but she's more impressed by his speed than his words. She refuses to listen, ready to continue her furious assault. Deciding he's had enough, he sacrifices an appendix for a new spell. Guess he had one of those to spare too. A forbidden curse erupts, trapping her in a cage of dark wood. She struggles against the vines, unable to comprehend the strange magic. He calmly explains this spell is designed for situations just like this. To prove his innocence, he shows her the key card to his room, but she's stunned to find her own key has the exact same number. With the misunderstanding clear, the curse's tendrils begin to recede. The spell dissipates, leaving the two of them in an awkward standoff. Yelin points out a simple possibility. She's holding the key card upside down. She apologizes for her violent outburst, but Yelin just tells her to get the door fixed. She offers to buy him a meal, but he invites her to join him for a walk instead. She introduces herself as Mi Shue, an SSS-rank berserker and her city's top scorer. She assumes he's headed for the Supreme Academy, but Yelin reveals he was rejected. She's stunned, but he explains his class is a death sentence that no school wants. The mood turns awkward as she processes the grim reality of his situation. He quickly changes the subject, deciding to treat her to a meal instead. They arrive at one of the city's most famous and luxurious restaurants, but their meal is interrupted by a new voice, questioning Mi Shui's choice of company. Mi Wei recognizes the newcomer, her voice filled with pure annoyance. The woman, Yi Ning, arrives with a companion, her words dripping with condescension. She questions Yelin's choice of company, trying to belittle Mi Shui. Yi Ning then tries to tempt him away with promises of her beautiful friends, but Yelin shuts her down with a brutally honest critique of her personal hygiene. The insult hangs in the air, leaving Yi Ning stunned and Mi Shui stifling a laugh. Her embarrassment quickly twists into a dark and menacing threat. Deciding he's had enough, Yelin suggests they leave the now smelly restaurant. But his exit is blocked by her companion, a level 22 paladin demanding an apology. The paladin's contempt is clear, as he insults Yelin's humble origins. Yi Ning demands her companion teach them a lesson, but Mi Shui knows they're outmatched. But Yelin fires back, his contempt for the rich just as strong as theirs for the poor. Enraged, the paladin unleashes a holy aura, his power filling the entire room. But Yelin just grins, eager to test his skills against a level 22 opponent. The crowd recognizes the SSS-rank paladin, a fight that could level the entire block. But their standoff is interrupted by investigators, who remind them of the city's strict rules. Guess no property damage today. Mi Shu agrees it's not worth the trouble, with the final trial so close. The paladin leaves with a final threat, promising a painful reunion in the trial realm. His companion follows, calling Yelin trash as they make their dramatic exit. Mi Shu apologizes, feeling responsible for dragging him into another conflict. Yelin asks about the woman, wondering about her intense animosity. Mi Shu reveals a bitter family rivalry, a shadow that has followed her since childhood. He brushes off her apology, his focus now on finding a good meal. He insists on staying, and soon, the third day of the trial arrives. High-tech drones monitor the crowd, their lenses glowing with silent scrutiny. The realm's supervisor, Zheng Kanqi, addresses the nation's top scorers. He tells the anxious students to prepare for the trial ahead. Mi Shu presents Yelin with enough food to survive a small apocalypse. He accepts the offering, her logic surprisingly sound to him. But before they can enter, the supervisor lays out the rules of the game. He explains that while they're immune inside, any damage becomes real upon exiting. The supervisor continues, laying out the second grim reality of the trial. He warns them to retrieve any lost limbs for reattachment. Guess that's a frequent flyer program. The students listen, their faces a mask of grim determination. His final warning is simple: try not to get eaten alive. Yelin realizes the immunity is a temporary fix, not a true shield. With the cheerful warnings complete, he wishes them luck and opens the portal. The gate opens, and the students are given 10 minutes to find a team. Yelin offers Mi Shu a spot, but only if she'll carry his bags. She readily agrees, boasting that a berserker can handle any burden. But their partnership is immediately challenged by a self-proclaimed gentleman. He offers Mijue a spot on his team, trying to play the hero, but the berserker unleashes her fury, telling him to get lost before he gets hurt. Elsewhere, the paladin from the restaurant forms his own elite squad. The would-be hero is left on the ground, a clear lesson in minding his own business. But a new problem arrives as the paladin confronts Yelin directly. He belittles Yelin's origins, calling him a redneck who will never amount to anything. He offers a final chance: kneel and beg, or face his wrath in the trial. Yelin's response is a simple, dismissive laugh. Guess he's not the begging type. The paladin's pride shatters, his face twisting in pure, unadulterated rage. The supervisor steps in, warning the paladin to back down or be disqualified. With the rules set, he announces the trial has officially begun. The paladin leaves with a final, chilling promise of revenge. Mijue warns him to be careful, but Yelin is ready for the challenge. Together, they step through the portal and into the unknown. They arrive in a deceptively peaceful forest, a beauty hiding a deadly threat. Their peace is shattered by a level 20 gargoyle erupting from the earth. But Mijue tells him to stand back, her berserker power flaring to life. Guess damsel in distress isn't her style. She unleashes a devastating punch, ready to crush the stone beast. Yelin watches her brutal assault, deciding he doesn't have time for such slow methods. He unleashes a forbidden spell, shattering the beast in an instant. Mijue is stunned, realizing his power is far beyond his level. He calmly explains it's the power of a forbidden spellcaster. He jokes about the backlash, glad his kidneys are safe for now. She can only call his methods what they are: absolutely brutal. With no time to waste, he leads them deeper into the trial zone. Mijue recalls his rejection, a cruel fate for someone so powerful. He plays the part of the tragic hero, lamenting his short life. But he claims that a short, bright flame is a worthy trade for his goals. He then spits out a leaf, completely ruining the dramatic moment. But their progress is halted by a new colossal threat. A level 25 giant poison centipede erupts from the earth. Even Mijue is stunned by the sheer scale of the beast. It attacks without warning, spitting a torrent of deadly poison. The acid melts the ground where they stood just moments before. Yelin leaps to safety, carrying his new friend out of harm's way. He tells her to stand back, ready to handle this himself. Guess chivalry isn't completely dead after all. He prepares another sacrifice, his body fueling his forbidden arts. He unleashes the familiar power of his world-destroying thunder. The spell slams into the beast, a storm of azure lightning. But the forest isn't done, sending a level 22 poison scorpion next. Mijue screams a warning as a skeletal warrior joins the fray. She can only watch as Yelin vaporizes it in another instant kill, but just as they move on, a hand erupts from the earth to grab him. A level 28 Ratman tries its luck, but Yelin is completely unimpressed. He leaps into the air, unleashing another forbidden thunder spell. The beast is instantly obliterated, a lesson in picking your fights. The kill pushes him to level 20, his power growing with every step. Suddenly, Mijue connects the dots about the realm's immunity. She realizes it's the perfect loophole for his life-draining curses. He checks his stats, unlocking a new class talent at level 20. His new power can upgrade any skill into a forbidden spell. He asks Mijue for a simple fireball scroll she found earlier. She questions his choice, but he's ready for an experiment. The basic fireball is instantly upgraded to Flame God's Breath. He decides to test his new toy, much to Mijue's shock. He summons a swirling vortex of dark, destructive fire. He unleashes the forbidden spell with a confident grin. Guess fireball was a bit of an understatement. The resulting explosion tears through the forest canopy. Mijue can only stare as Yelin revels in his newfound power. With the experiment a success, Yelin urges them onward, eager to keep leveling. But the massive explosion has drawn some unwanted attention. A woman wonders if an examiner has interfered in the trial. Even the paladin is baffled by the sheer scale of the attack. Back in the forest, Yelin decides it's time for a lunch break, but his keen senses pick up something in the distance. His eyes widen as he spots a rare and valuable prize. He quickly gets Mijue's attention, pointing toward the discovery. It's a level 26 treasure toad, a monster known for its valuable loot. He lays out a plan to capture the beast, a perfect test of teamwork. They creep through the undergrowth, stalking their sleeping golden prize. Yelin lays out the plan, he'll control it, and she'll be the muscle. But their hunt is interrupted by the paladin and his crew, waking the toad. With their prize escaping, Yelin unleashes a curse to stop it in its tracks. Dark tendrils of magic ensnare the beast before it can get away. Mijue is furious, their perfect plan completely ruined by the newcomers. The paladin, Wu Shaoqi, gloats, certain he has Yelin trapped. But Yelin's patience has run out, and he summons his new favorite toy. One of the paladin's men scoffs, mocking him for using a low-level fireball. But this is no simple spell. It's a swirling vortex of forbidden, destructive energy. The Paladin's crew can only stare, their mockery turning to pure dread. He unleashes the flame god's breath, a torrent of forbidden fire. One of them is badly burned, and they accuse Yelin of attacking the nation's future. But Yelin calmly pulls out another scroll, claiming he's a fair man. He explains that fair means everyone gets to experience his new toys. A storm of razor-sharp ice shards begins to fill the sky. The beautiful display of magic rains down with deadly intent. They're left speechless, unable to believe he can wield both fire and ice. With a simple gesture, Yelin invites them to try out his latest creation. The entire team is trapped in a closing vortex of ice, their fate sealed. The Paladin summons a holy shield, a desperate defense against the storm. But the forbidden ice spell slams into the barrier with brutal force. The holy light cracks and shatters under the relentless assault. He can't believe his SSS-ranked defense is failing so easily. With his shield gone, he summons a golden sword for a desperate counter. A single, powerful slash carves a path through the icy vortex. He rallies his team, convinced Yelin can't fight them all at once. Their combined power erupts, a golden wave against a sea of ice. The other students can only watch, baffled by his dual elemental power. But Yelin just grins, pulling out another scroll for his next experiment. Guess he's not done playing with his new toys. He pulls out an earth scroll, ready for his third demonstration. A colossal meteor of rock descends from the heavens. The Paladin's team can only stare, their arrogance shattered. The impact shakes the very foundations of the trial zone. They're sent flying, caught in the devastating shockwave. Pinned, Wu Shaoqi tries to threaten him with his family name, but Yelin just smiles, promising the pain will be temporary. Guess family connections don't impress him. Just then, a second meteor appears, ready to finish the job. They plead for their lives, reminding him they're from the Supreme Academy. Yelin turns away, questioning the very name of the school that cast him out. He reminds them that since the Academy rejected him, they're not exactly classmates. The second meteor descends, a final, brutal punctuation to his point. Other students flee in terror, convinced the forbidden spellcaster isn't human. The impact kicks up a massive cloud of dust, obscuring the aftermath. When the scene clears, the onlookers can only stare in horrified silence. The Paladin's elite team is left broken and buried beneath the rubble. Guess that's what you call a rocky relationship. Yelin lands softly, the battle over as quickly as it began. He calmly tells the onlookers to get the injured students to a healer. The other students use their magic to carry away the defeated team. With the pests dealt with, Yelin decides it's time to get back to the real prize. Back in the real world, the trial supervisors wait for the first casualties. The supervisor notes the unusual silence, a sign of this year's strength. But his thoughts are cut short as a student screams for help. He's stunned by their injuries, ordering the clerics to heal them immediately. He asks what happened, and the student reveals the cause. A forbidden spellcaster. The supervisor is stunned, realizing the implications of that title. Back in the trial, Yelin laments losing their prize because of the interruption. He decides to rest, leaving Mi Yue to keep watch over their camp. She marvels at his incredible growth, vowing to work harder herself. But her thoughts are interrupted by a strange sound from the darkness. A new challenger appears, a level 36 high-grade Cerberus. It attacks without warning, unleashing a torrent of dark energy. Miga yanks Yelin to safety, screaming for him to watch out. He notes it's a high-grade monster, but she knows it's much worse. The full scale of the beast is revealed, a true legendary threat. Yelin tells her to stay back, preparing to handle this himself. He unleashes his upgraded fireball, a massive sphere of forbidden flame. But the Cerberus simply opens its maw, ready to meet the attack. In a stunning display, the beast swallows the entire spell whole. They can only stare in disbelief. Guess his forbidden spell just became an appetizer. The Cerberus unleashes a new attack from its gaping maw. A torrent of green, corrosive tendrils shoots toward them. Yelin leaps away, warning his friend of the deadly fluid. He lands in a pool of the acid, completely surrounded. The beast's massive jaws descend, ready to finish him off. Realizing this is a real threat, he prepares another forbidden spell. He offers the beast a new meal, the Flame of Karma. The Cerberus opens wide, ready to swallow this spell too. Guess it didn't learn its lesson the first time. The karmic flames pour down its throat, a fatal mistake. The beast's head erupts from within, a truly explosive meal. With one head down, Yelin offers the beast another deadly meal. He unleashes a new forbidden spell, the devastating Eternal Thunder. But the Cerberus opens wide, ready to swallow this attack too. The remaining heads consume the lightning, seemingly without effort. They roar in triumph, their power apparently growing with each spell. The beast unleashes a torrent of acid from both remaining maws. Yelin summons the Wailing Wall, a dark shield against the deadly tide. With them safe for a moment, he forms a spear of pure ice. Guess it's time for a different approach. He hurls the weapon with deadly precision, aiming for the beast's head. The spear finds its mark and the Cerberus roars in agony. Yilin challenges the beast, ready to see if it can swallow this next attack. A pillar of ice erupts from the ground, freezing the Cerberus solid. But Mishue is shocked to see the monster is somehow still not dead. Yilin realizes it's preparing to self-destruct in a final desperate gambit. He screams for them to run, warning her of the deadly black flames. He pulls her to safety as they flee the imminent explosion. They watch the blast from a distance, lucky to have escaped with their lives. But a familiar croaking sound catches Mishu's attention. It's the treasure toad, having somehow survived the chaos. Guess it's their lucky day. The toad drops a rare ore, a valuable prize for their troubles. Yelin holds his sword to the toad's throat, demanding more loot. But all it spits out is a small, seemingly worthless rock. Furious, he demands the real treasure, his patience clearly worn thin. Elsewhere, the trial supervisor receives a report from the medics. They confirm the paladin's team has been successfully healed. But Wu Shaoqi emerges from the tent, still nursing his wounds and his pride. His face is a mask of pure hatred as he snarls Yelin's name. He hobbles into the darkness, vowing this is far from over. Guess someone's holding a grudge. Back at the camp, Yelin gives the captured toad one final ultimatum. He prepares a spell, ready to end this interrogation one way or another. Yelin offers the terrified toad a bit of good news and bad news. The bad news is that its life is about to be over. His threat works perfectly as the toad finally spits out its real treasure. A magnificent, epic-grade staff emerges from a flash of golden light. Both Yelin and Mihui are stunned by the incredible prize. He examines the staff's stats, a perfect weapon for a fire mage. He pats the toad, telling it this all could have been avoided. Guess he's a fan of tough love. With a grin, Yelin decides to test out his new toy immediately. His talent upgrades the staff's skill, unleashing a devastating slash of divine flame. Even they are shocked by the sheer, overwhelming power of the attack. The divine flame carves a path of utter destruction through the forest. The treasure toad can only watch in terror at the scorched earth. Mishua is stunned by the staff's power, but Yelin is just getting started. He dismisses the terrified toad, his interrogation officially over. With their business concluded, they leap off in search of new prey. Elsewhere, a storm of ice rips through the forest, another test of his power. They come across another group of students struggling against a powerful beast. The two of them watch from the trees, assessing the situation. Yelin tells his new friend to stand back. This one is all his. He unleashes another forbidden spell, ready to clear the field instantly. He surveys the empty landscape, a silent testament to his power. He wonders aloud where all the monsters have gone. Miju points out the obvious. He's hunted them to extinction. With the realm empty, Yelin decides it's time to make their exit. Back at the portal, the other students are baffled by the sudden peace. They wonder if the Paladin's team has had any better luck. Guess they missed the memo. But their questions are answered as Yelin and Mishue arrive, clearing the crowd. The supervisor questions his early departure with 2 days left on the clock. But Yelin is certain his work here is done. The supervisor asks him to present his final level for the record. Yelin casually confirms his final level, a staggering 25. The other students are left in stunned disbelief at his impossible growth. The supervisor tells him to wait. The nation's top scorer has a reward to claim. Elsewhere, a familiar face curses his own terrible luck. The Paladins group laments their wasted time and empty-handed hunt. But a messenger arrives, revealing Yelin is the reason the forest is empty. The news sends the Paladin into a fit of pure, impotent rage. A young girl mocks the Paladin's lack of progress. Guess not everyone is impressed. They blame Yelin for their failure, calling his class a short-lived gimmick. But another student fires back, calling out their pathetic excuses. But their argument is cut short by a strange energy tearing across the sky. The entire realm begins to shake violently, a sign that something is terribly wrong. The students panic as they realize the exit portal is beginning to disappear. Their only way out crumbles before their eyes, trapping them in the trial zone. A pillar of dark energy erupts as a voice commands the feeble humans to tremble. A horde of monstrous creatures descends, a true army of the damned. The students recognize them with dawning horror. The legendary demon kind. This isn't a trial anymore. It's a full-blown catastrophe. Guess the final exam just got a lot harder. One of the students leaps forward, challenging the demons for their intrusion. But his heroic declaration is met only with a cold, disembodied laugh. The demon leader declares that humans are nothing more than food. She's furious that her kind were used as mere hunting targets. Her glowing eyes narrow with a cold, murderous intent. She declares that all of them are simply courting death. A white-haired student steps forward, trying to rally the others, but a hulking demon enforcer appears to block his path. The student leaps into action, ready to face the new threat head-on. He prepares to fight the beast, a lone defender against the horde. Guess he drew the short straw for boss duty. The demon leader casually delegates the fight to her subordinate. She then turns to the students, promising she's just playing with them. The demon leader offers a simple challenge to the nation's strongest. The students try to rally, their fear warring with their desperation. A new challenger steps forward, Lindsay Ann, a level 21 god knight. He declares he'll fight for humanity's honor, confident his higher level gives him the edge. But his confidence is met with a single brutal strike through the chest. With a flick of his finger, the demon sends the boy's body flying. The fallen hero crashes into the crowd, a grim lesson in overconfidence. The demon scoffs at the so-called top scorer, calling him pathetically weak. He taunts the remaining students, their courage completely shattered. But one student calls out to Ye Lin, reminding him of his duty. The students turn on Ye Lin, demanding their new hero save them. Some call out the hypocrisy, while others blame him for their weakness. Guess it's always his fault. Ye Lin agrees to fight, but only if they give him all their best gear. They reluctantly agree, hoping he won't even survive to use it. Such a supportive team. He hands the loot to Mi Jue and prepares to face the demon alone. The demon leader watches, amused by the infighting among the humans. But Ye Lin's eyes glow, declaring there's always one who ruins his peace. The air crackles with energy as the two powers prepare to clash. He stands alone, a single human against a demonic general. The two lock eyes, a silent declaration of the battle to come. He unleashes a flurry of fireballs, a seemingly basic attack. The other students watch in confusion, questioning his strategy. The demon leader watches the pathetic flames float toward him. He mocks the boy for using such a childish spell against him. The demon catches his blade, calling the entire effort whimsical. But Ye Lin just smirks, his trap now perfectly set. A massive wall of fire erupts, catching the demon by surprise. He realizes with dawning horror this is no ordinary fireball. Guess he should have paid more attention in magic class. The spell detonates like a miniature sun, engulfing the sky. The students cheer, but Ye Lin knows the fight is far from over. But the demon leader is unharmed, absorbing the very flames meant to destroy him. He emerges from the blast without a scratch, intrigued by the boy's power. His wounds heal instantly as he offers Ye Lin a chance to serve him. But Ye Lin fires back with a counteroffer of his own. Guess he's feeling generous. The demon's patience runs out, deciding it's time to end this conversation. Annoyed by the interruption, Ye Lin prepares to sacrifice for another spell. He unleashes his sudden dance, weaving around the demon's brutal strike. The demon's relentless assault is constantly thwarted by Ye Lin's golden talismans, but even he struggles to parry the sheer, overwhelming force of the demon's attacks. The students complain from the sidelines, demanding he stop dodging and fight. So much for gratitude. The demon's underlings feel the intense heat, their bodies cracking under the pressure. The demon leader mocks his evasive tactics, convinced Ye Lin is just a weak human. But Ye Lin tells him to look around, his true plan now in motion. The demon finds himself surrounded by the very talismans Ye Lin was using. He questions the strange magic, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Ye Lin reveals they're just simple light spells, then gives a single command. The talismans detonate in a blinding vortex of pure, destructive light. The blast slams into the demon, a seemingly inescapable wave of power. But he summons a dark shield, bracing against the overwhelming force. He scoffs from within his barrier, certain he's completely untouchable. But Ye Lin has another trick, unleashing a spear of eternal thunder. With a furious roar, he commands the spell to pierce through the darkness. The dark shield shatters under the force of the forbidden spell. The spear impales the demon leader, a direct and brutal hit. He grips the weapon, his fury boiling over at the insolent human. With a scream of pure rage, he vows to kill the boy himself. Guess he's not a fan of being skewered. Ignoring the fatal wound, the demon charges for a final desperate strike. But Ye Lin summons a dark shield, meeting the attack head-on. He grits his teeth, holding firm against the demon's overwhelming power. The force of their clash sends a shockwave tearing through the forest. The demon leader vows to make Ye Lin a trophy for his study room. Pushed to his limit, Ye Lin prepares to make another desperate sacrifice. He unleashes the burning karma, his new staff amplifying the forbidden spell. With a manic grin, he asks the demon if he's ready for what's coming next. The demon looks up as golden sparks fill the air, a strange and beautiful attack. He realizes too late that the sparks were just the beginning of the assault. The karmic energy detonates in a massive, world-shaking explosion. The students erupt in cheers, certain their reluctant hero has won. Guess they're fans now. The demon lies defeated, unable to believe a mere human could possess such power. But elsewhere, another battle rages as a subordinate roars in fury. The enraged demon subordinate charges forward, vowing to tear them apart. The white-haired student warns Yelin away, realizing he's facing an impossible foe. But a flash of red light cuts through the chaos. The hulking demon is sliced in two with a single, effortless strike. The students look up in shock, recognizing their unexpected savior. It's the city lord, He Yunfeng, and he's not happy about the intrusion. He tells the demons they've made a fatal mistake coming here. Pillars of holy light descend, purging the demonic horde from the field. Even Mi Shui is stunned by the overwhelming display of power. The demon leader is forced to retreat, his invasion utterly crushed. Yelin faces two ominous figures, tension thick in the air. One of them, identifying himself as Gallagher, vows revenge. One figure declares their next meeting is inevitable. A stern-faced man with white hair smokes a cigarette. The man questions if someone is trying to leave. The Lord's subordinate warns him of the impending threat. Our villain is terrified by the realization of what is about to happen. Suddenly, a massive hand bursts out of the ground. The hand snaps shut just as the arrow is about to catch up with our enemies. The rest were shocked by such powerful pressure. Everything was in smoke, and the young girl tried to understand what was happening. The demon leader taunts them from the sky, daring them to follow. But the city lord promises that one day they will answer that call. He lands softly, his mission complete for now. He apologizes to the students for the catastrophic security failure. With the portal restored, he sends the shaken survivors home to rest. The students flee the trial zone, their brush with death still fresh. Yilin can only watch them go, glad the nightmare is finally over. Back in the city, the night offers a moment of quiet reflection. Yilin lies in bed, realizing just how dangerous the trial truly was. Guess safe isn't in the curriculum, but his peace is broken by a knock, wondering if it's his neighbor again. He opens the door to find an unexpected visitor waiting for him. It's the city lord, here to personally check on his injuries. Yilin downplays the fight, but the lord knows he faced a royal demon. He brushes it off as luck, but the city lord has a proposition. He wants Yilin to serve Shencheng as a deterrent against the demons. Yilin agrees to consider it, but must first consult his master. He names Zhuge Chenxing, a name the city lord clearly recognizes. Guess that connection is paying off. As the lord leaves, Yilin realizes his door was left unlocked. Just then, a woman with cat ears arrives with a fruit platter. She seems nervous, her head bowed as she follows his instructions. But as she enters, her senses pick up a strange, familiar scent. Her eyes narrow, the nervous facade melting away to reveal a killer's focus. She lunges past Yelin, a dagger aimed directly at the city lord's heart. But her blade is stopped cold, just inches from its intended target. The city lord grips her wrist, identifying her as a level 50 assassin. He demands to know who sent her, his voice a low and dangerous threat. With a single, fluid motion, he throws her across the room. She crashes to the floor, defeated but defiant. Guess the fruit platter was just a distraction. Refusing to talk, she prepares to take her own life to protect her secret. But the city lord is one step ahead, stopping her before she can act. The city lord realizes the poison was a failsafe, a sign of a powerful organization. He promises to make the Wu family pay, but Yelin politely declines his job offer. Enraged, the city lord storms off, vowing to handle the Wu family personally. Yilin is left alone, sighing at the ever-growing list of his problems. But his peace is shattered by another frantic knock at the door. Guess his room is the new hotspot. It's Mi Shui, who excitedly announces he's the nation's top scorer. She's left speechless by his deadpan response to her congratulations. She quickly recovers, eager to take a picture with the new national champion. But her celebration is cut short when she spots the dead assassin on the floor. Yelin calmly asks her to call housekeeping, explaining it was just another attempt on his life. Mi Shui is furious, ready to hunt down the city lord for the attempt on Yelin's life. Elsewhere, the paladin Wu Shaoqi is berated for his failed plan. His superior is furious that a level 50 assassin failed to kill a level 25 student. But their argument is interrupted by the arrival of a new, imposing figure. It's the paladin's father, the head of the Wu family, and he is not pleased. He questions his son's respect, his disappointment clear in his cold gaze. He calls his son a fool for his sloppy planning and pathetic excuses. He orders his son to prepare to apologize to the city lord personally. Guess it's time for some damage control. The next day, Yelin is summoned to a grand building to claim his prize. The trial supervisor presents him with his rewards, legendary gear and a new skill. Yelin examines his prizes, a legendary scroll and a mysterious box. Inside, he finds the Great Sumeru Ring, a legendary item that doubles his power. The city lord explains it can also absorb energy attacks and create a storage space. Yelin realizes he can turn his enemy's magic into fuel for his own forbidden spells. Combined with his immortality, he's become a living battery that gets stronger with every hit. He thanks the city lord, who promises to send him home to Qingcheng. Back at the Qingcheng teleportation square, a massive crowd awaits their hero's return. A portal swirls open, and a lone figure steps through the vortex. Yilin emerges, his journey finally bringing him back home. He's greeted by the city's leaders, hailed as the nation's undisputed top scorer. Guess fame has its perks after all. But Yilin is completely unprepared for the hero's welcome. The crowd surges forward, a tidal wave of rabid fans. They scream his name, desperate for a piece of their new champion. Guess this is the price of fame. He's completely overwhelmed by the sudden intense adoration. A hand grabs him, pulling him from the chaotic mob. The principal drags him away, explaining his master is waiting. Later, at the Zhuge estate, his master reflects on the double-edged sword of fame. But Yilin senses there's a far more important reason for this meeting. Zhuge Qianxing reveals a grim truth. The Gate of Apocalypse has reappeared. Yilin recognizes the name, the legendary source of the 7 ancient artifacts. Yilin asks if this is his next mission, but his master corrects him. They're going together. He agrees, but first needs to visit the Job Changer Guild to handle some equipment. After he leaves, the master's composure breaks, revealing his failing health. He clutches a strange artifact, knowing he's running out of options. Blood splatters onto a scroll, a grim reminder that his time is short. Meanwhile, Yilin arrives at the guild, ready to do some business. He's now using the illusion skin, a necessary precaution for a national celebrity. But as he's led inside, he spots a familiar and unwelcome face. It's Kensen's second-in-command, but thankfully, his disguise holds firm. Yet as he leaves, she can't shake a strange feeling of familiarity. Her intuition screams that this feeling can't be wrong. She's certain this is Lingye, the mysterious man she's been searching for. She approaches him directly, a determined look in her eyes. Yilin panics, but she only asks if he's the one who saved her. He denies it, but she insists his cold demeanor is unmistakable. She grabs his arm, refusing to let him walk away so easily. She demands to know why he won't admit the truth. Yilin calmly asks the guild staff if this happens often. Guest customer service is his go-to deflection. The staff member intervenes, and the woman reluctantly backs down. Onlookers gossip, assuming he must be rich to attract such attention. Yilin approaches the counter, ready to offload his recent haul. He dumps a mountain of gear, the spoils of his one-man war. The crowd is stunned by the sheer volume of his loot. Guess clearing an entire realm pays pretty well. But he's not interested in cash, he's looking for an upgrade. The guild presents him with a catalog of their finest wares. He quickly finds what he's looking for, a rare spirit-amplifying necklace. The price is steep, but Yilin has one more ace up his sleeve. He reveals his final prize, a legendary dragon-scale gold ore. The rare material glows with an immense untapped power. The onlookers can only stare, realizing this hooded man is no ordinary adventurer. She's stunned by the rare ore, her admiration for Lingye growing. The commotion draws the attention of the guild's vice president. Yilin recognizes him as Chen Kai, a man rumored to be near level 60. The vice president asks what he wants, and Yilin requests refining stones. These stones can upgrade gear, making even rare items rival epic ones. Chen Kai offers a generous 800 stones for the legendary material. But Yilin pushes his luck, demanding 1,000 for his loyalty. Guess he's a natural negotiator. The vice president agrees, sealing the deal with a friendly handshake. He orders his staff to fetch the stones, chiding them for their earlier outburst. But Yilin isn't done, revealing a legendary skill scroll as his final prize. The vice president is stunned, realizing this hooded man is far from ordinary. But his panic is cut short by the arrival of the guild's president. The president, Wang Lichuan, asks what Yilin wants for such a priceless item. Yilin makes a shocking offer. He'll trade it for all their normal skill scrolls. The entire guild staff is left speechless by the seemingly insane request. Even Kensen's former second-in-command can't believe he'd make such a bad deal. She tries to reason with him, but Yilin calmly turns down her help. The president asks for a final confirmation, and Yilin's answer is firm. Ecstatic, the president orders his staff to gather every last scroll in the building. He even throws in a VIP card, a small price to pay for a legendary artifact. With his business concluded, Yilin takes his leave from the guild. The president dismisses any need for protection, knowing his client is no ordinary man. He melts back into the city, a hooded figure with a priceless inventory. But his exit is cut short by a familiar, determined face. She begs him to expose the imposter who stole his heroic name. Yilin plays dumb, insisting she has the wrong guy. But she's certain, threatening to involve investigators if he doesn't cooperate. Guess she's not taking no for an answer. Realizing he's trapped, Yilin reluctantly agrees to go with her.